This video is going to be on subtracting integers. Before we begin, it's important that we remember about how to add integers because we are going to use that when we subtract. So remember, to add integers, if the integers have the same sign, we just add them and keep the sign. So if they are both positive, we add and keep the positive sign. If they are both negative, we add and we keep the negative sign. So just add and keep the sign. Now, if the signs are different, then there's something else that we have to do. But it's still just two steps. So if they have different signs, you're going to subtract and then take the sign of the highest, and this stands for absolute value. So, for example, if we have -2 plus 8, we have one negative sign, one positive. We're going to subtract. 8 minus 2 is 6. And then we take the sign of the highest absolute value, which is 8. So it is a positive 6. Another example could be 4 plus a -7. I have a positive and a negative. So I subtract 7 minus 4, and I get 3. And I take the sign of the highest absolute value, which is a negative sign because this is a 7 and this is a 4, so this is a -3. All right, so that is a quick review on how to add integers, just 2 steps. All right, we're ready now to learn how to subtract integers. When you're subtracting integers, there's one thing that you need to remember first and foremost. That means it's real important. You need to add the opposite. Add the opposite. Once you add the opposite, then you can just go back to the rules for adding integers. But you got to add the opposite first. So what does that look like? Okay. Now here we've got 4 minus 2. Now that's something that you did in elementary school. It looks pretty easy. We already know the answer is 2. But I'm going to show you how you add the opposite, and we'll still get the answer. So this is subtracting integers, and I'm going to add the opposite. The opposite meaning that this number right here, it's a positive 2, isn't it? It's a positive 2. I'm taking a positive 4, and I'm subtracting a positive 2. But really what I'm doing is I'm adding the opposite. So I'm going to change that 4 minus 2. I'll rewrite that. 4 minus 2. And I'm going to change it to adding the opposite. So it's 4 plus a -2. 4 plus a -2. Still means I'm going to be taking 2 away from 4. Because remember the rules, when you have one of each, I've got a positive and a negative, what do? You subtract. So this would be 4 minus 2, and the answer is 2. And then we take the highest absolute value, which is 4, so the answer is 2. Now, do you have to do all of that when it's an easy peasy one? No. But I'm just showing you that that's how it works. Okay? So let's apply that now to 3 minus 8, which looks like, well, you can't do that. 3 minus 8, that's, if you were in kindergarten, you'd say, they can't do that. But really you can. You can think of it as money. If you have $3 and something costs $8, well, you can buy it, but you'd have to borrow some money from somebody, right? And then you'd owe them $5. That would mean a -5. So we know we can do this. This is how we do it. We're going to add the opposite. I am going to add, so instead of subtracting, I'm going to add, and the opposite of this positive 8 is a -8. Now once I've done that, it looks just like one of our addition problems. and then you do the steps for addition. We subtract, we get our answer, which is 5, and then I go back to the highest absolute value after I've added the opposite, and it's negative, so this is a -5. So if you really know how to add your integers, then this should be just one more step you have to remember, and hopefully it will not be that confusing. Now something like this looks pretty confusing, but you're still going to add the opposite. You never do anything to this first guy. That first guy, leave it alone. Okay? So I keep the -5, and I'm going to add the opposite. So I'm going to change that to addition. And this, remember, is a +6, so I'm going to change that to a negative. I added the opposite, and there, look, that's one of the easy peasy ones, right? If they have the same sign, what do? We just add and keep the sign. So this is -11. So this looked like it was going to be pretty tricky, but actually turned out to be a pretty easy one. Okay, now there's one more I want to show you, and you still are going to add the opposite. All right, now this one's going to really look strange. Let's say we have a -2 minus a -6. Wow, look at all those negative signs. You still do the same thing. Add the opposite. We do nothing to this first guy. So this stays here, -2. I'm going to add, so instead of subtracting, I'm going to add, and now what's the opposite of -6? Opposite's a positive. All right? And now I have an addition problem, and I've got one of each. I've got a positive and a negative. So we go back to our addition rules, and when we have one of each, we subtract, and then we take the sign of the highest absolute value. And I go back to when I was adding the opposite. So I go back here, and this is a positive, so this is a positive. I don't have to put it. So the answer is 4. All right, we're going to practice this a little bit. But again, just keep in mind, add the opposite. And once you add the opposite, you're going to turn it into an addition problem. And as we started out, these are the rules for addition. Okay? There's just 2 of them. If they have the same sign, easy peasy, add and keep the sign. If they have different signs, subtract and take the sign of the highest absolute value. Okay? So subtracting integers is really like adding them. You're going to change it to an addition problem and then do either this or this. All right, let's practice. Here we go. All right, write down 3 minus 8. Don't write down all those other little thingies that just showed up. Okay, 3 minus 8. And what is our rule? Say it with me. Add the opposite. Add the opposite. Okay, so 3 minus 8 is going to be 3, not a B, 3 plus a -8. There we go. And now I have an addition problem. What do we do with our addition problem? That's right, we subtract. 8 minus 3, 5. And is the answer going to be positive or negative? It is going to be negative because this has the highest absolute value. All right, work with me on the second one. 4 minus a -10. We're going to rewrite it, but this time we're going to add the opposite. So let's rewrite this. 4 adding plus the opposite. The opposite is 10. Check it out. We took a subtraction problem, made it an addition problem, and it turned into an easy peasy lemon squeezy. So what's the answer? 14. All right. And let's look at this one that's kind of complicated, but it's not for us. -3 minus a -2. Do we do anything to the first one? No, that stays. It's a subtraction problem, so I'm going to change it to addition. And I'm going to add the opposite. Opposite of -2 is +2. And now I've got one of each. I've got a negative and a positive, so that rule is just subtract and then take the highest absolute value, which is a negative. All right. How about you try some on your own? Okay, here are 4 different types of problems that you can see, that you might see on a test, okay, for subtracting integers. Remember, what are we going to do? We are going to add the opposite. And once you add the opposite, then just follow the rules for addition. All right, pause, and then when you are done with them, go ahead and click play and see how you did. All right, pause. All right, here are the answers. Now, if you got things wrong, take a look at my steps and compare them with your steps and see, what happened, where you went wrong. Was it an addition problem? Was it forgetting to add the opposite? A lot of kids on problems like this, they'll just go -4 and they'll go like this, +5. They'll forget that this is already a positive and they have to change it to a negative. So if you got the answer of 1 on this, that's probably why you forgot to change that to a negative. That's a common mistake. So look it over. If you have any questions for tomorrow, please write them down, and we will practice this some more. All right. Good job.